so, hello. Yes, it's been a while since I've done this. I can't remember where we left off. It was somewhere, wasn't it? Well, since then I've done stuff. I started to lose my hair. That had definitely happened. It started to grow back. This is good. I mean, it's still a hole, but I've got like baby hair. And yeah, that's sort of good, you know. It's sort of cute. Hey, isn't that sweet? But shouldn't really be on a 25-year-old man sort of cute. But you know, I do my best to pull it off. Anyway, so yeah, hair started to come back. I went through a bit of a rough patch with I got on the antidepressants, which was good, and then everything went a bit sort of, I had tooth pain, heat waves. It just wasn't very conducive towards me actually moving forward. Things kind of then started to settle down, and then we had vidcon, and that's really where most of this story's gonna start. So, vidcon, we went to vidcon. I dragged Dan kicking and screaming to vidcon. There was not so much screaming, an amount of kicking. I was in charge of all of the flights and everything, so of course everything fell to pieces. It was so like, I mean, firstly there was like someone who had gone to LAX just before us and had tweeted nasty things about America. Not sort of aggressive things, just sort of bad things. They'd gone into the same airport we were going into from England, sort of about 20-ish, two friends together, and they'd been sort of jailed for half a day and then sort of sent back to England. And I mean, I don't know if you read mine and Dan's Twitter feeds, but yeah, I was a tad worried about going through customs. We didn't meet a fan going through customs, so that was interesting. But yeah, so that had been worrying me, and then particularly sort of on the way there, I did a very bad job at I bought the tickets sort of in about February, but then now was finally going through, and I hadn't double checked any of this stuff. So sort of when the night before I couldn't check in, that was getting me worried. So I turned up. It turned out that we had seats, but we didn't have allocated seats on the plane, even though we had booked tickets and that we might be later on, which was not good. So I had to, you know, just sit in the area before you go through security where all the shops are. So all the shops on the other side of security, which meant I couldn't buy things that I wanted to buy there. I really wanted to buy things like power converters for all of our electronics, which, let's be honest, pretty important for me and Dan. None of that managed to happen, and so I just had to sit on a seat with nothing to do other than every time someone walked past, Dan would go, "Oh, that's so-and-so," and list someone who was famous, and I'd look up, and of course it wasn't, until we'd finally got to a silly bit where we'd gone through most of the cast of an old TV show called Thermo Man. And then suddenly Dan went, "Oh look, there's Hugh Dennis." Now, by this, Hugh Dennis, in case you didn't know, is a comedian who also was in the show Thermo Man. So because I'd already gone through a few Thermo Man people, I was absolutely ready, looking at this, ready to say, no, it's not. But it turned out it was in fact Hugh Dennis. So that was sort of weird coincidence. They did let us onto the plane that we wanted to, but yes, we had to rush, and so we didn't have any of the things that I wanted to buy beforehand, like just a few different little bits and pieces, which once you've gone through security are easy to buy, sort of things that might be liquidy or power converters or things, and none of that happened. Every time I say that, I've got sort of Luke Skywalker going, "But I want to go to Tashi's to buy some power converters." You can play with your kid. Anyway, before I get sued by Disney. Yes, so we went there. It was a long flight. Yeah, lots of movies. Not many that good. I'll be honest, we went to see Ashen's movie premiere afterwards. That was much better than most of the films on that plane. I liked The Croods. That was like the only thing that was up and running with Ashen's small movie. You should go watch that. I should put a link or something. Dan's put a link to it. I'll find it. Ashton's movie, Quest for the Game Child. It was very good. Anyway, so where were we coming in? So yeah, completely lost. We flew in. We did that. We did all of those things. Got through security. Absolutely fine, in fact. You let us in our country. How did you do that, America? Anyway, so yes, we got in. We went to vidcon. That's the end. Nah, it's not really. So vidcon. It was... I don't know. I should tell you about the power, because obviously that's what you're worried about. You know, how did you power your devices while you're out there? And the answer is the TV had a USB slot in the back, and I used that to power our mobile phones. But it did mean that the TV was on constantly while we were there, and we regularly had to fight over, because we only had one USB charger for the two phones. And so we were both fighting over the charger constantly. So there we are. That was that problem solved. Solved is not a good usage there. Slightly patched up, roughly. So those were the technical details. But vidcon was really interesting. Dan did not like it at all. He has written a Tumblr post about the fact that he hates it. And he's really not kidding. It's not even properly. He's not kidding. So first day we got there, I don't know. It's a weird thing, vidcon, in that it wasn't what I was thinking it was going to be, because I was hoping to use it as this sort of giant networking powerhouse, and I don't know. Maybe this is... You're going to see quite a bit of my autism and social structure coming out in this vlog, and I haven't really gone into it much before, so I'm sorry if bits of this don't make sense, and I'll do my best to try and explain as we go along. So I struggle generally having conversations, and as such need to find social structures and normality and things, and so I had assumed being YouTubers with large number of subscribers, we would be bunched into the group of YouTubers with large numbers of subscribers, and therefore we could sit in those back rooms and do all of the clever underground networking bits. That did not happen at all. We bought industry parties, which were much, much more expensive. They were nice insofar as we got to go to some sections and got to be there slightly earlier and actually get to meet a few people. It definitely got me a few of those nice stories that I was looking for, because part of the reasons you go to vidcon is so that you can do things like I tried to sit in a seat but it turned out it was reserved, and then later on Charlie McDonald comes and says to the person who just kicked you out of your seat, "Oh, thanks for saving my seat." You know, that's what you want. Or to turn up and get your pass and go, "Oh, you're Cade from Cartoon Hangover," and him go, "Oh yes, what are you here for?" And it's like, "Oh, I work with Nerd Cubed," and he's like, "Oh yeah, you sent people over to us, that was really great, we really like what you do." And that's all great. Cartoon Hangover. I've got a cat bug! Incidentally, I tried to sort of double do the cat bug. Yeah, see. If any of you spotted that beforehand, well done. There we are. That was an Easter egg explained halfway through the video, so I'm not sure if it's an Easter egg. I don't know what that is. Put it in the comments. Decide what that is. Secret. I don't know. Anyway, setup and response. That would be what it would be. Anyway, so yes. So I've got lots of nice things like that going on. Got, you know, the opportunity to do the, "Oh, I'm in a lift with so-and-so," or "Oh, Lindsay Sterling's was in the room next to us." So, which turned out quite well for Dan, because when he was hiding away in it, he got to listen to her practice, so he got his own personal performances. So things like that are sort of nice little stories. There are a few more on my Twitter feed. I can't remember all of them. There were loads of them. But pretty much if there was a big YouTuber there, I probably saw them briefly, but I didn't speak to most of them. And the thing was that these people who were very big obviously had sort of crowds of people around them on the general areas where I could access them, and it's one of those ones where it's like, I respect what you do, and I do. I think a lot of these people are very talented, but it's for a lot of them, it's not I'm a complete die-hard, other than saying, hi, I like what you do, I don't have anything else to say, and I kind of feel that it's not really I feel that by doing that, I'm just, almost harassing them and taking up more of their time that they could be spent with someone who is screaming and fighting to spend every second they can with them. So, I don't know, it's a tricky thing. I was hoping that subscription would be a based sort of line, and it wasn't, which I know just makes me sound like some sort of overly arrogant person, but it's not. It's just my brain needs a system by which I can understand things. So, on the other hand, on the social side, I actually had quite a lot of success, and it's something that I'm particularly bad at in normal life, so really helped being there, is that I could just sit down and say, hi, my name's What? I run Nerd Cubed. We're a gaming channel. What do you do? What sort of YouTube interests you? Do you create things? Do you watch things? What have you done that you've really enjoyed? Any fun stories? And I felt that there's this setup there that people are there to meet people and talk to people, and I already know, I'm not going to go there and go, hi, what YouTube channels do you like? And then go, what? Everyone already speaks the same channel as me. The same language as me, even. Okay, I'm going to have to stop again. My battery's screwing up. So the good thing that I had there was that I knew that everyone was going to know that, I wasn't going to... if you just go up to someone in a standard London pub and go, hi, do you like YouTube? What sort of YouTube stuff do you like? The general response is, what the thing with the cats? Or, oh, is that... So what do you do for a living? Oh, no, I'm a YouTuber. Oh, how do you make money off of that? Or if I say I'm a Let's Player, that's a really hard thing to explain to people. Even vlogging is hard to explain. So that was all just a kind of nasty mess in real life, but here it was really easy because I could just go up and I knew that people were going to know those things. Everyone there was in a situation where they'd gone there to meet people, so I found it a lot easier just to go up and say, hi, let's talk, let's have a conversation. And I managed to do that, and be more socially open. So this kind of made me, I'll give you an example. It was the last day, it was Sunday, Doctor Who, the new Doctor was being announced. So I managed to go behind the bar where they had 3 TVs and ask the barmaid, hi, the new Doctor's being announced, do you think you could change one of your sports channels to BBC America? And I managed to convince her that that was something that was going on. And then I managed to run around and grab all of the other people in the area to say, hey, do you like Doctor Who? Because let's be honest, it's a YouTube convention. Chances are quite high that... I don't think most people in America would care the new Doctor's being announced, but I think in a hotel, mostly populated by people from VidCon, there's a lot more people. So I went round and grabbed all of the groups and just sort of said, hi, are you fans of Doctor Who? Well, if you're interested, that TV over there is live showing the new Doctor being announced. So I got to do that and grab a small group of people. I bumped into Vi Hart and we went round and collected, went round and grabbed a few people, tried to make a Doctor Who cocktail. I'm rubbish at this because I knew nothing about drinks. I said it should have a stick of celery in as a remembrance of the 5th Doctor, but that was as far as we got with that. But yeah, we got to, I got to do that, which I would never be able to do in a normal bar. I'd never go, let's watch this and then go around and try and tell everyone, but I had that safety that these were people who were sort of similar thinking to me, and it was a place where you're supposed to start conversations with people in a way that I don't think that anyone's supposed to go to VidCon and just be by themselves. Whereas honestly, I feel that lots of people go to bars in groups of people, or lots of social occasions where you go with a group of people and you don't necessarily want to meet new people, you just want to do your thing. I don't know, maybe I'm just being crazy, but that really worked well for me. It's similar in a style to what I like over in... we have a really big comedy festival that I spent about a decade, slightly under a decade, of going to. It's a month-long festival in Edinburgh for comedy and theatre, and that again is sort of very similar. You know, you can turn up there and just start a conversation because everyone there is there to talk about shows. However, there are some big differences, and I'll be honest, I massively prefer the Edinburgh Fringe show to VidCon, because VidCon is very intense and very... people are only doing things once, whereas in Edinburgh, everyone's doing a show over and over again. And also, everyone's brought up a show, whereas lots of VidCon is just people having their hands shaked. This is something that I know that Dan struggles with, and I have always really struggled with the concept of like signing things. I know I sign things for people, and I did that because I have yet to make the video saying I don't like signing things. And this isn't really that video yet either, but it will come at some point. So if you've got something signed, it's a bit rarer, or will be at some point. But I don't like that. I don't like the, like, why should I have a... like, inside this house there are 2 copies of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. There's my copy and Dan's copy is signed. And now, his at least is signed because he won a competition, so that's got some personal value to him. But, I mean, in reality, there's no difference. It's like Edgar Wright, who put who signed Dan's copy, put like 3 years of his life into my copy, because there's a film there and he put loads of effort in there, and lots of people did. It wasn't just him, obviously it was the whole cast and crew, and there is probably a lifetime's worth of work in that film if you add up all of the years everyone has put together, if not multiple lifetimes. And it is a beautiful work of art. And to have all of those lifetimes and for someone to think that it's somehow more valuable because someone then took an extra minute to sign that copy. The idea that that can sell as a higher price than something else, the idea that because it was the first one printed that it has more value. I'm sorry, I'm a bad collector, but this really bugs me because I'm a creator, and so it's my stuff that I feel has value more than my time. I don't ever want to become someone who professionally signs things. I would always much rather be someone who creates things and never signs anything. I appreciate that people want to spend time with us, and I suppose unlike Dan, I'm much more open to that. I understand that there's a level of appreciation and feeling like someone's had a connection with you, and if you feel like someone's had a really strong connection with you, then being able to share in that, to let them know that that connection happened, is something that's very valuable. I had that here, as I tweeted a few times. I have a huge crush, and really when I say huge, I'm underplaying it. I have the biggest crush in the world on Mika Kitty. And she's a go-to person that I go to watch when I'm feeling low, and she makes me feel warm and fuzzy. And so, for me, I went to pretty much everything she did at VidCon, and it meant something to me. It did, in a way that I can appreciate other YouTubers, and I didn't get to see everything that they did. I love Wheezy Waiter, for example. He's an amazing YouTuber. I saw him for like 2 seconds on stage. But I didn't get to have the same connection that I managed to with Mika Kitty. I bumped into her in the hall. I got to ask her questions at her Q&A, and I got to have a hug when she was signing things and see her do all of her acoustic set. So I felt like I had done more, but that had a more personal feeling with me. I didn't get anything signed by her because I don't feel like I needed something signed. I didn't really get a picture with her, and that's something that I think, particularly now, it's like the signature perhaps used to be a memento, whereas now I think a signature's an awful memento. Having a photograph of you with someone, that is literal proof that you were there. A signature is just... this is an argument for a different time. Point was, I did a little bit, but I never really managed to get through into that community, and that became something that was quite evident to me, that it was a very much a us and them type scenario, and I managed to enjoy being a fan and being with fellow fans. But one of the things that are great about the Edinburgh Fringe is that, you know, during a show someone can perform night after night to hundreds or I think there's possibly a few thousand seating venues, and then straight afterwards they go to the bar and they're just friendly people and just chat with people, and there really isn't that same elitism, and that you can talk to someone who does perform to large audiences and it's not them being mugged. And maybe it's because it's a longer longer show. Maybe it's because there are lots of people who are going to appreciate an art that someone is creating without necessarily being that person's fan, whereas everyone here was just here because they were a fan of that person. Which just gave it this really weird dynamic. I was talking about the industry day, yeah. This is what I meant when I said I was going to do it non-linearly on my Twitter. So, yes, there was a business day. It was all about money and really not geared towards me. I, like Dan, are both sort of money aversive, so I wanted, hey, I know you don't want to make money, but here are some things that you might have forgotten to do which can do you some help, but aren't necessarily things that will take a lot of effort. Whereas what they were actually running was a lot more of a, you care about money, well we're going to tell you how you can make a channel. And we wanted more of that, I've got a successful channel, how do I monetize it without destroying it, rather than how do you start a channel with the goal of making money, which really is not my thing. And that seemed to run a few too many times around the place. Dan bailed halfway through that and watched quite a lot of it on his phone. Well, bits and pieces. So honestly, if you didn't have the industry track days, you missed nothing. I really wouldn't say that you're in any trouble whatsoever, and it's if I was to return, I definitely wouldn't be buying industry track days. So I don't feel like that is a huge pressure on you if you're going next year or something. Though I might not be selling it exactly. But yeah, so we had that. And then we had the fans. That was nice to meet the fans. It was nice to meet all of you guys. Nice to see some Nerd Cubed t-shirts. We obviously weren't as big as lots of the vloggers because of the crowd that brings. Some of that I was prepared for because I knew that it was going to be... well, I know that it's mostly female-based, and lots of the people who turned up were female, I could see that. Lots of female teenagers. Most of our audience is slightly more male-based, so, I mean, obviously, just looking at male to female ratios, there was going to be fewer of our fans there, and therefore more people who didn't know who we were. We got to see a few people early on. I rushed off to, it's not stalking really, but yes, fangirl. I went off to fangirl at Mika Kitty, and then left Dan behind to fend for himself. When I left there was only like 10 people there, though I had seen other people get mobbed, so it really doesn't surprise me when I then found out that when he tried to leave, there was a lot of people around him. Like, it was not uncommon to try and see someone walking through when there's like sort of 3 heads out before they could get out, and you couldn't actually reach outside of fans. So I can understand how that is very intense. And I still got to see people as we were going around. So I got to say hi to fans. That was good. I like saying hi to fans. I liked being a fan. I certainly didn't have that, I suppose, feel like an epic star or anything, and I didn't necessarily get those feeling like I was part of that community in the way that I really admire the vloggers, and I want to become more part of that world, and there's a sort of feel of isolation between the Let's Play and the vlogging, and it's a pity. And for lots of people I spoke to, it wasn't an issue, but it just didn't gel in that way that I was maybe hoping for. So after the first day, me and Dan got together and said, okay, what do we want to do? And we spoke about Nerdcubed Phase 2. Should probably be Phase 3 really, because Phase 1 would be the website, and the webcomic. Phase 2 should really be the sort of birth of the YouTube channel. Maybe it should be Phase 3. I don't know. See, okay, this is a very early concept. You have the exclusive Fenarians. I think we'll stick with Phase 2, but it should be Phase 3. But yes, we are thinking of creating, I'm not sure if it's part of Nerdcube brand yet, we're not sure what it is, but we want to make more big, interesting productions. We decided this on the second day, and then the more we went through, the more I realised I wanted to make something useful and creative and create something good. And then of course we saw Ashen's movie, which, as I said before, is amazing and wonderful and made on the sort of budget that we were thinking about. So we were really looking at that going, yes, let's try and set up for... I'm not allowed to say too much about this, but basically we are not on the best deal for making money on our channel contract. I think we were right at the end of an old style of contract, and then a new style came in, and we were locked in for a few years on the old style of contract, which means that basically around Christmas time-ish, we will massively increase the amount of money that we get hold of when we can renegotiate. And that's not just we'll bully it out of people. I mean, literally, we know what Dad Cubed gets, and if we just jumped up to what Dad Cubed was getting on the main channels, there will be a significant increase. And so that money, rather than going, hey, we all get to be filthy rich, we went, hey, we can go and throw all of that money away somewhere we don't care. We do care, in movies, and that would be my area of expertise, or high production sketches and short movies maybe. So if I wanted to do something cool and sci-fi like, we could possibly do something cool and sci-fi like, but on a much shorter time span, or in a sort of smaller episodes, or do bigger episodes where it's less specialised. I don't know, we'll see how things go. It literally has only been like sort of a few hours of us discussing this, but that's sort of a general idea that we're having and interested in. So that's sort of one of the things that we were looking for going forward. So that was sort of where I had that, yes, I'm out here, I'm being sociable, I'm being friendly. I really managed to surprise myself in, because I'd assumed that that my inability to talk to people was sort of, I suppose, maybe I've just been watching too much stuff about social anxiety, and I don't have social anxiety. I'm autistic. My problem with communicating with people is I don't understand the structure and the rules, and I panic when I don't understand the structure and the rules. And I don't like breaking that. So for me, it's just, it felt liberating to be there, but it managed to remind me, because, I mean, I haven't even been to Edinburgh for the last few years because I've been working at Nerdcube, so I really haven't been able to go out and just talk to people and have conversations for a long time. So just reminding myself that I could still do that was almost a shock by itself. And I spent lots of nights just sitting around in lounges and talking to strangers and being happy and friendly and communicative and building some connections with other people. And there was a lot of good stuff there. I will probably do a different video on it because mostly I picked up a whole load of cards and I have not got round to looking at that stuff yet. But that was sort of, you know, this big drive, and it was like, oh yes, we're gonna make great material because I like great material and I like doing big projects, and I'm better at big planning than spur of the moment things, and that sounds like a really great idea, and we can move money later on into sort of doing that in the long term. And then at the other side, it's the, oh yes, I am a sociable person, I can be friendly, that's not as much of a problem as I thought it was. And then I got home and just I don't know, it's just, I'm generally a person who does recharges by themselves. I'm not the most sociable person in the world. I literally get to a point where I've been socialising with people where I just hit that wall and it's like, I've got to get out of here. I'm not a huge music fan, so I really don't like clubs or loud music or pubs or anything like that. I am a person who is antisocial under those circumstances. I like one-on-one conversations a lot better, or very small groups. It's like I like board games. I like board games. I like getting a small group of people together and playing a board game. I like doing that. So I'm not completely antisocial, but I appreciate social structure, and most casual socialising doesn't have that. I don't know, I think that having people around to structure me is a good way of me doing things, and I don't seem to have that relationship with Dan. It's a little bit too much. He runs off in his room and I occasionally check up on him, which is becoming really hard because he started playing Papers, Please, which means everything's time limit, and he just goes, no, I'm on the clock. There you are, a little clip into my life. So yeah, part of me has now just come to this, I feel like I need help, but not like psychological help or anything. Like, getting out of bed is something that I struggle with unless I've somehow managed to write a contract with someone that my brain has given some sort of value to, or... And this is why I've been getting confused. I don't know what sort of help I need. I don't know if I need someone to help be more organised, because I'm awful at being organised. I've been known to just not cash in work checks because I couldn't be bothered, and then lost track of it, and then sort of found it years later and went, oh, well, apparently I did all of that work for free. I'm not kidding. Again, not a huge person who cares about money, definitely a person who can do with some helpful hints. So, I mean, one of the things we're definitely going to want when we start the new company is someone to come on board and help out with the production of the movies. Because obviously, as you can see, I can't do it myself. But that's probably not going to happen till Christmas. I mean, I think it's an important job, so we're probably going to run some smaller projects and do auditions for people. We will do a better announcement when we're actually focusing on that search, but I need someone to help me get out and do things, and I don't know who that should be. And then part of me is now, part of me says, hey, that would be great, I should get a girlfriend or something, and because I've proved I'm sociable and friendly, and quite frankly, I have not had a girlfriend in ages. Like, definitely not since I went to university. So, girls, ladies. Point was, so part of me is like, maybe that's the right relationship, to have someone who helps get me up and checks in on me. I seem to have a real skill of picking up friends who are unreliable. But maybe I just need a friend. I definitely have that, I'm going through quite a lot of things, particularly sort of with the trying to get over depression and there are other things that I'm fighting with at the moment, and when you get clean from things, they say you're not supposed to start new relationships in sort of 6 months or so, but that then gives me that annoying situation of I'm not supposed to start new things, but I really feel that starting I kind of feel like I don't quite have the structure I need to push me forward at the moment. And I don't know what I'm doing there. And I feel it needs to be, even if it's a friend, or especially if it's something with romantic tension. I'll be honest, probably the best option, because my life is I try to fit my life into sort of social, into sort of TV sitcom world. I am Abed. So I would definitely like, a will they, won't they relationship, where we both sort of know that something will happen, but we won't get there. I mean, that would probably be my ideal situation. But then at the same time, it's just, I'm insanely picky when it comes to girls. It's not healthy. But, yeah. And then equally, as mentioned before, I don't get out of the house, I don't meet people, so it's like, I need these people, but I can't actually find these people because that would require me to have made progress, and I need people. It's a bit like which came first, chicken or the egg, only in this particular case it would be chick and ego. Which comes first, chick or the ego? Maybe that's bad. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't have to be something like that. I don't know what it is. I don't know. That's where I am at the moment. My brain's just a bit all messed up, and it's kind of falling to pieces, and part of me just sort of really wants that closer company that I just don't have at the moment, and part of me wants to go and do busy things, and part of me just feels broken and wants to be fixed, but I kind of feel like each part is fighting against the other part, and I don't think this is one where I can magically fall into a situation that fixes everything. And it's tricky. Life is tricky. I know maybe I'm not a person who has the hardest life, but I don't know. I think we all struggle with things emotionally, and this is my struggle, even if other things are great. I could be friends with Catbug. We're having soft tacos. Bye!